Om Jnanatimanasya Shanam Akshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Chitchetayamanopistam Stapitam Yena Bhutam Amrupkadamyam Dati Sapadantikam Vandeham Shio Shiyuda Padakamanam Egom Vaishnavam Yupam Jagajatam Sakanagnatam Tam Sativam Tadvitam Sabdutam Pajan Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sakanalita Shivishakam Pitam Shah He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinavan Pate Gopisha Gopakanta Adakanta Namaste Tapta Kanchna Kalangi Radhe Vrindavanasya Vishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamama Haripi Lanka Kaltu Vishaki Sindhvaya Visha Patinam Pavan Vyo Vaishnavyo Namami Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shivasri Gaurav Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Ram. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Charani Nirvishesha Sanyavadi Bhaskachari Satani Hila Prabhupada. So this evening we will continue discussing the pastime of Kaliya, and today we will cover verses 8 till 22. And in this section, especially, we will see the depth of the love of Krishna, of the Vrajavasis, that we may get a tinge of taste, or a little understanding of this Vraja Prema. That what's so special to Vraja Prema? Krishna explains this in the 11th canto, in Uddhava Gita. He explains Uddhava in texts in chapter 11. Uddhava is asking about the symptoms of liberated and conditioned souls and how to obtain liberation. Krishna explains that the process of bhakti at the end of this chapter as the real process of liberation. But then, in the beginning of chapter 12 in the Uddhava Gita, he says, yes, this liberation, that the study of the Vedas, performing austerities, that keeping vows, that will not bring me under control. What brings me under control? Krishna explains in this 12th chapter of the 11th canto. What brings me under control is this Vraja Prema, this unalloyed, pure love from the Vrajavasis. And we see that soon it will be Kartik. We will hear about Damodar Lila, that this name Damodar is actually a very confidential name. And yeah, because Damodar means yes, is bound by these ropes. And that means that Krishna does not like that non-devotees call him Damodar. Certainly not. Because that means, well, it's the story that once Mother Rohini was calling Krishna for lunch, and he called him Damodar, and he would not come. But then Mother Yasoda would come and say, "Oh my Krishna, please come." He didn't call him Damodar, and he came. But because Damodar means that he has done something wrong. He has stolen the butter. So, anyway, these are the feelings of the Vrajavasis. But then, more important is how to develop this Vraja Prema, this love for Krishna that brings Krishna under control. And there in the 12th chapter, the Gita, Krishna explains that the process to develop this love means that one must associate with my pure devotees. That's the process. And Krishna tells Uddhava, he not only does he explain that, but he gives examples. He gives an example of Bali Maharaj, who was the pure devotee that associated with Bali Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj, it was the grandson of Prahlad. Yes, but and he gives other examples. Vibhishan in the Ram Lila. With whom did he associate? Hanuman. Yes. Hanuman. That gives many other examples. That Prahlad Maharaj, Narad Muni. What circumstances? In the womb, that's special. How powerful is the hearing of the Bhagavatam spoken by Nanda. That all the mothers who are pregnant should hear Bhagavatam, whole entire Bhagavatam. That the process. But here today we will hear about this love of the Vrajavasis. And it's not easy to understand for us. But because we will hear it in this section, how they are lamenting. They are on the verge of giving up their lives. But if we understand this, the way that ordinary people lament, then we are far away from understanding this Vrajabhakti. Because their experience is pure ecstasy. Pure ecstasy. There is no tinge of material suffering. So that's difficult to understand. That because we don't have that experience. Okay, first, I will read In the Bhagavatam, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tasya Radevi Harato Buchadanta Guna Vargo Samanga Varavarana Vikramasya Ashrutya Tatsva Sadana Vivavam Niriksha Shakshushrava Samasarattat Amrisyamana. Translation. Krishna becomes sporting in Kaliya's lake like a lordly elephant, swirling his mighty arms and making the water sound in various ways. When Kaliya heard these sounds, he understood that someone was trespassing in his lake. The serpent could not tolerate this and immediately came forward. So Krishna, we heard yesterday, jumped in the lake, that causing a tsunami. And here we hear he was making music in the water. That is more purple, one sentence. According to the Acharyas, Lord Krishna was producing wonderful musical sounds within the water simply by splashing his hands and arms. So he was making music in the whole show. But Kaliya did not appreciate his music. Probably it was not his type of music. He did not like it. That in Nectar of Devotion, it's describing about his coward boyfriends. So what we will hear now, what happens with his friends, what happens with the cows, even with the plants, with the gopis, what happens with his parents and all the Vrajavasis, that we will see and their love. So first, when Krishna entered the lake of Kaliya, his intimate friends became so perturbed that their bodily colors faded, and they all produced horrible gurgling sounds. At that time, they all fell to the ground as if unconscious. When there was a forest fire, all of Krishna's friends neglected their own protection and surrounded Krishna to protect him from the flames. So they were not concerned about their own protection, about Krishna's protection. This behavior of Krishna's friends is described by poets as Vyabhichari. In Vyabhichari, ecstatic love for Krishna, there is sometimes madness, dexterity, fear, laziness, jubilation, pride, dizziness, meditation, disease, forgetfulness, and humbleness. But these are all spiritual, different from material experience. These are feelings of love for Krishna. So these are some of the symptoms experienced in the state of Vyabhichari, steady love for Krishna. It is also described in Nectar of Devotion when Krishna entered the Yamuna Mother Yashoda feared all kinds of calamities, and she was breathing heavily, and tears came out of her eyes, soaking her clothes, and she was almost collapsing. Now, the demigods are always also mentioned in Nectar of Devotion. And that Nectar of Devotion it's chapter 50, which is concerned with Rasabas, contradictory mellows. But it's not Rasabas we will hear. So once some minor demigods of the heavenly planet remarked, Krishna, whose joking words were once the source of so much laughter for the residents of Braj, has now been attacked by the serpent king, Kaliya. And he has become the great object of everyone's overwhelming lamentation. In this instance, there is a mixture of laughter and compassion. Or is it Rasabas? No, it is not. Because our Acharya says both rasas, they increase the love in affection. Good. Kaliya appeared, and he could not tolerate the music. What's going next? Next time. Tam prekshaniya sutsukumara gana badantam evatsa pita pasmanam smita sandaramsyam kedantama pratibhayam kamalotaram sandasyamal masusa bhujaya chadamandam. Kaliya saw that Sri Krishna, who wore yellow silken garments, was very delicate. He found him a very delicate boy. But his attractive body was shining like a glowing white cloud, his chest bearing the mark of Shivatsa, his face smiling beautifully, and his feet resembling the ball of a lotus flower. The Lord was playing fearlessly in the water. Despite his wonderful appearance, the envious Kaliya furiously bit him on the chest and then completely enwrapped him in his coils. So now we will hear commentaries of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and especially Sanatana Goswami. And they give different perspectives. And that's very interesting. So now he is in the court of Kaliya, and Sanatana Goswami is going to interpret everything in a different way. Here we hear that he was biting, envious, and angry. But Sanatana Goswami says that this biting in the heart is his act of kissing Krishna. He was kissing Krishna. It is actually an act of love for Krishna. That is what Sanatana Goswami says. And his covering with his snake body is firmly embracing all the Lord's limbs. So he was kissing and embracing him. With anger means as with anger, but not really. But actually, it is with pure love, Sanatana Goswami says. So Krishna is about to show in great mercy. We will hear that later. But Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur does not agree. He says, no, Kaliya was angry. Although Krishna was looking so beautiful, he appeared the opposite to Kaliya. So there are two opinions here. The Vishwanath Bhakti Thakur and Sanatana Goswami. But the translator of the BBT followed Srila Vishwanath Bhakti Thakur. And why? Because Srila Prabhupada is also following him in Krishna book. And Krishna book he presents Kaliya as being angry. Of course, we have discussed yesterday which anarthas Kaliya represents. That's cruelty, enviousness, pride, brutality, violence. Now, we have some more information in the Priyat Bhagavatamrita. Who wrote Priyat Bhagavatamrita? Sanatana Goswami. So we are going to get a perspective here of Sanatana Goswami. What was his perspective? He was kissing, he was out of love. Yeah. So there are more details about this lila. Krishna in the water enjoyed the sport of swimming back and forth, and they made all kinds of loud noises. We have beautiful music. So Krishna, he had a good time in the Yamuna, in the poisonous Yamuna. But then he drew near to the cruel Kaliya, and out of curiosity he allowed to be enveloped in the serpent's coils, out of curiosity. So that is also Sanatana Goswami. So when Krishna's companions, the coward boys, saw that for no good reason Krishna was gone, they all fell down as struck by death. In great anxiety to find him, they followed his footprints. These many were the same boys who were losing sight of Krishna on the forest path. Now, when they saw him motionless, they all fainted. So these are the coward boys, and what with the animals? All the village animals, the cows, the bulls, the calves, and also the animals in the forest, they remained on the shore, their eyes fixed on Krishna's face, and their cries made a great roar of suffering. Birds, exhausted from the loudly crying, threw themselves in the lake. Trees and plants suddenly dried up, and the many terrible inauspicious omens appeared. Inauspicious omens appeared. That's interesting. So people of the village had already noticed that many frightening omens. Krishna was the source of God's good fortune. The coward boys were concerned and started seeking. The report of the old man spoken with a faltering voice struck them suddenly like a bolt of lightning. Balaram, sitting in their hearts, tried to console the people of Braj, who were running forward like living corpses. This can be true, they cried out. Balaram somewhere or other told his mother Rohini of the news. Many stayed back to take care of the house, but now they try to catch up with those who had left. Balaram soon reached the lake. Seeing his younger brother in such a state, he couldn't keep his gravity and wept out of love, as he lamented in ways that would shatter loads of stones. Suddenly he fainted. All living beings made a fearful cry, full of agony that made the whole universe cry in pain, awakened by the tumult. Balaram, the most determined of all heroes, with great effort steadied himself. A moment later, Krishna's parents again became conscious. Seeing their son in such a plight, they cried loudly and rushed to enter the lake. But powerful Balaram held them back with his strength. Seeing everyone unconscious and on the ground as if dead, Balaram was overcome with sorrow. In a voice choked up with emotion, he called out to Krishna. He said, "These are not your attendants who live with you in Vaikuntha. They are not forest monkeys. They are not the Yadavas. They are your devotees of Golok who have no life other than you. They are dying, my lord, and there is nothing I can do to save them," Balaram said. That's so what's the difference with all other devotees and the Vajravasis? The difference is the essence of Vrindavan, they are exclusively dependent. Now, Sukadev Goswami will speak. This was Sanatana Goswami from Briyat Bhagavatamrita, text 10. Tamna Kabhoga Parivitamadista Shishtam Anukhatat Priyasakam Pasupam Visaktam Krishne Pitatma Suridasta Kalatrakama Dukhan Sukha Vayamutadiyo Nipetam. When the members of the coward community who had accepted Krishna as their dearest friend saw him enveloped in the snake's coils, motionless, they were greatly disturbed. They had offered Krishna everything, their very selves, their families, their well-off wives, and all pleasures. At the sight of the Lord in the clutch of Kaliya, the snake, their intelligence became deranged by grief, lamentation, and fear, and thus they fell to the ground. So, poor coward boys, they fell unconscious. Yes, first they fell unconscious because they were drinking the poison. Krishna revived them. And then now, again falling unconscious. In Nectar of Devotion, the scene is described that out of grievement, distress, and fear, they became bewildered, and they started to fall on the ground. Because they were under the illusion that Krishna might be under some mishap, some accident. So the coward boy's symptoms are not at all astonishing. They dedicated their friendship, their possessions, their desires, and themselves to Krishna. So here is what is actually real love. All the residents of Vrindavan had this feeling toward Krishna. The coward boys, the mothers, the gopis, everyone. But not only the people. 11. Yapo Fisha Vatsatayam Radhamana Sudukhitam Krishnanya Seksanavitam Udancha Ivatasthiri the cows, the bulls, and female cows, in great distress, called out piteously to Krishna. Fixing their eyes on him, they stood still in fear, as if ready to cry, but too shocked to shed tears. Interesting. All the animals, they are crying and they are stunned. That well, no, omens. Atapache maut patas tripidavihanti dahuna utpeto gufidipyatmani ashanabhaya samsina. In the Vrindavan area, there then arose all three types of fearful omens. Those on the earth, those in the sky, and those in the bodies of living creatures, which announced imminent danger. According to Sridhar Swami, the omens were as follows. On the earth there were disturbing tremors. In the sky there were meteors falling. And in the bodies of creatures there was shivering, as well as quivering of the left eye and other parts of the body. These omens announced imminent danger. Where the left side is quivering for the man, that it's inauspicious. But it's the right side for the women. The left side quivering for a man is inauspicious, right side quivering is inauspicious for the ladies. There cannot be anything inauspicious for the Lord. Interesting. So who is creating all these omens? And we will hear who is behind that. In order to indicate the lamentation of the inhabitants of Raj, the demigods in charge of earthquakes and other disturbances did this to the demigods. They are facilitating Krishna's lila. They want to make it more dramatic. So they are creating all these things. Just like when you have a drama and you are having effects. So the drama is going. Krishna is in the course of Kaliya and the demigods are there, and they are doing the sound effects and the earthquakes, etc. Meteors are falling from the sky. They want all to be part of the lila. They are providing a few earthquakes, a few tremors, and things like that. And they add to the suspense, to the immense emotions of the Vrajavasis. So what could these omens mean? Only one thing. Krishna is in danger. So these Vrajavasis, they are undergoing these emotions, these spiritual emotions, which are just the cause of great ecstasy. That's the greatest enjoyment factor. But we have an opposite experience in this world because we have a body. Because of the body we are suffering. The body is suffering. We experience the suffering of the body because we identify with it. But here that's not in this category. If we take this in this category, we make a big mistake. That verses 13, 15. Dana Lakshya Bayo Krishna Kopananda Prokama Vinaramena Krishnam Shat Acharya Itum Gatam Time to Nimitar Vidanam Matva Praptam Adapidam Tatpanastam Manaskaste Dugasrukam Vayantu Vanividam Panitam Sarvangam Savitayam Nirgatma Kokuladina Krishna Darshanam. Seeing the inauspicious owners, Nanda Maharaj and the other coward men were fearful, for they knew that Krishna had gone to herd the cows that day. We bought his elder brother Balaram, because they had dedicated their minds to Krishna, accepting him as their very life. They were unaware of his great power and opulence. Thus they concluded that the inauspicious omens indicated he had met with death, and they were overwhelmed with grief, lamentation, and fear. All the inhabitants of Vrindavan, including the children, the women, and the elderly persons, loved Krishna, just as the cow thinks of her helpless young cow. And thus these poor suffering people rushed out of the village, intent upon finding them. We are going back to Priyadvaita Sanatana Goswami. So according to Priyadvaita, also Balaram felt distress. But according to the Srimad Bhagavatam, he was not exactly feeling distress, because Balaram knew Krishna's power. So why didn't he tell? It's all right, after all, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. He should that he could have said that, or he could have, he could have handled it and said, you don't need to worry. So why didn't Balaram tell him these things? Yeah.
So Krishna being God does not exist. They see Krishna as their darling. He's not God, he's the baby, he's their first cousin, the lover. So for them, Krishna is the object of their appreciation.
Well, yeah, the point here is that Balaram, he did not want to spoil their love. That's the reason. Because especially those with Vatsalya Bhav, he would not like to spoil their love for Krishna. But it did save their lives, because they were on the verge of death, as we will find out in the next verse. Because they all went running into the water, even the gopis. Everyone wanted to run into the water and save Krishna. That,
in spite of the poison.
16. Tamstatam Yataran Diksha Bhagavan Madhavo Balam Ahasya Kinchinam Vacham Bhavavajnam Muyasyasa. The Supreme Lord Balaram, the master of all transcendental knowledge, smiled, and he said nothing when he saw the residents of Vrindavan in such distress, since he understood the extraordinary power of his young brother. And Peter Prabhupada. Sri Balaram is the plenary expansion of Lord Krishna, and he is thus no different from him. There are in fact the same absolute truth manifest in separate forms. According to Srila Vishwanath Thakur, Lord Balaram was laughing because he thought, that's interesting, Krishna never cares to play with me in my form of Sheshana. So, But now he's playing with this ordinary mundane snake called Kaliya. So that's one of the reasons why he smiled. Please go to show this one. The question may arise as to why Krishna and Balaram allowed their loving devotees to suffer such great anguish during Krishna's temporary imprisonment within the court of Kaliya. It must be remembered that because the inhabitants of Vrindavan were completely liberated souls, they did not experience material emotions. Again. When they saw their beloved Krishna in apparent danger, their love for him intensified to the highest degree, and thus they merged completely into the ecstasy of love for him. The whole situation has to be seen from the spiritual point of view, or it will not be seen at all. So that brings up the point of what can we see here? Who used to think in this material point. So there are many reasons why Balaram smiled here, but one reason here is playing with this ordinary mundane snake, Kaliya, but not with me in my former station. So that is one reason. So, of course, we heard that point here. The whole situation has to be seen from the spiritual point of view, for it will not be seen of all at all. So this is applicable for all of Krishna's pastimes. The pastimes with the young gopis has to be seen from the spiritual view. It is not that they have the emotions that people have in this world. Different emotions. It is not those type of emotions of lust. It is different. It is completely love. It is nothing selfish. They don't want to satisfy themselves. It is not that at all. So here we can see what the love of the virgin was. Then Sanatan Goswami has another reason why Balaram was laughing. That it is for the sake of producing their distress. And he is not saying anything. It's for the purpose of consoling them. He understands the purpose of the Supreme Personality of God. So here's another reason why he's smiling. Every time Krishna and Balaram do something, then there are hundreds of reasons why. The acharyas, they can catch that and reveal that to us. So another reason why he's laughing is to console everybody. He says, don't worry, there's no problem here. So now the Goswami gives another reason. He's talking about the mood of Sukadeva Goswami. Sukadeva is speaking here to Maharaj Pariksit. So Sanatan Goswami has perceived the mood of Sukadeva Goswami toward Balaram. By describing its laughing and not saying anything, Sanatan Goswami says that Sukadeva Goswami is angry with Balaram. Why are you smiling and not saying anything? Look at the Vrajavasis. So this is another way Sanatana Goswami sees this verse. Sukadeva's loving anger for Balaram. Shiva Goswami. He says, why is he laughing? In order to make them think. So Because Balaram knows the truth of his younger brother Krishna. He's very affectionate towards him. He's laughing. So there is no need to be in anxiety. So this is the same what in the purport here is mentioned. Shiva Goswami says, it may be objected, if such is the case, why did he not completely instruct them about Krishna's power? So there is another reason why Balaram didn't tell them. Not just to not disturb their bhava, because Balaram was unable to act apart from the desire of Krishna. Balaram cannot act apart from the desire of Krishna. Krishna did not want him to tell this, so he did not tell. So the key word in the Sanskrit is prabhavahya, that he should not act without Krishna's permission. Therefore, he couldn't tell them. But now, Shiva Goswami says, is the rasa bhas here? So we have emotions of grief and lamentation, and Balaram is smiling, that's rasa bhas. Balaram is smiling, and here we have a catastrophe. Everyone is like dropping them on the ground, they are falling unconscious, and Balaram is laughing. Is it rasa bhas? No, Shiva Goswami says. Balaram is fully aware of Krishna's power and influences, and the people of Raj plunged in Karuna gas. Karuna. In this situation, grief is appropriate, but one can say that Balaram's Harsya ras is not appropriate. The ras of Harsya or laughter is not appropriate. The Vrajavasis have Karuna ras and Balaram has Harsya ras. Is this Rasa, Harsya, and Karuna? The truth is that Balaram manifests many different natures according to his past. And the cause of his smiling is Krishna's supreme power. People in Vraj are in a different mood. They want to protect Krishna. This protection of Krishna is this Karuna rasa. So if they would have known the power, the secret of Krishna, they would have smiled also. But they didn't know. And therefore, they were all plunged into Karuna ras. They were all in grief, lamentation, and fear. So they were not aware of Krishna's power. For them, it's Krishna in the village, that because that's Yoga Maya, that allows them to develop this more intense love. That Balaram did not want to break that. They could not, because Krishna would not like it. Tene vasamanadaya daitam Krishnam sachittaya dai Agaval laksana jaknam padapya yamuna tatam. The residents hurried towards the bank of the Yamuna in search of their clear of Krishna, following the path marked by his footprints, which bore the unique signs of the personality of God. Yavakusasani Ashokapapanani Padam Vishpate Maike Kapamanya Padataram Tare Nirikshtamam Chayam Sataram. The footprints of Krishna, the master of the entire Kaula community, were marked with the lotus flower, barley bloom, elephant goat, thunderbolt, and flag. My dear King Parikshit, seeing his footprints from the far among the cows' footprints, the residents of Vrindavan rushed along in great haste. Sanatana Goswami comments as follows: since Lord Krishna had passed along the path sometime previously, while wearing his footprints, which were surrounded by those of the cows and cow boys and so on, smacked over and brushed away. Why hadn't his footprints been obliterated by those of the beasts and birds of Vrindavan forest? Answer is indicated by the word Vishpati, master of the cow community. Since Lord Krishna is actually the wealth of all living beings, all the inhabitants of the forest of Braj would carefully preserve his footprints as great treasures, the very ornaments of the earth. Thus no creature within Vrindavan would ever walk on Lord Krishna's footprints. Interesting. That, text 19. Krishna's footprints. Antarade Uchagabo Kaparitamara Krishnam Niriham Kupalapya Vachala Sayante Kupan Samuda Tishanam Parita Pashamcha Sankandata Paramakasmama Varastam. As they hurried along the path on the bank of the Yamuna River, they saw from a distance that Krishna was in the lake motionless within the coils of the black serpent. They further saw the cowherd boys had fallen unconscious, and that the animals were standing on the sides, crying out for Krishna. Seeing all this, the residents of Vrindavan were overwhelmed with anguish and confusion. So first, there was lamentation, fear, and anxiety, and now we have anguish and confusion. All these different emotions are felt by the Vaishnavas in their grief and panic. So, in their grief and panic, the residents of Vrindavan tried to find out whether Kaliya had forcibly dragged young Krishna from the shore into the water, or whether Krishna had himself jumped from the shore and fallen into the clutches of the snake. They could not understand anything about the situation, and Krishna's cowherd boy friends, being unconscious, were unable to tell them anything. The cows and cows were crying on Krishna, and thus the whole situation was overwhelmed and created a state of shock and panic among the residents of Vrindavan. We have all these emotions, from anguish, confusion, shock to panic. These are the emotions of the Vajrayana and feeling. Now, 20. Kopyam Vaktamanaso Bhagavatanam Te Tatsavidam Smita Vilpaki Smarayam Jam Yaste Hinam Pyatam Nitesham Dakatam Sunyam Yatiritam Tatvesus Vilokam. When the young gopis, whose minds were closely attached to Krishna, the unlimited Supreme Lord, saw that he was now within the grips of the serpent, they remembered his loving friendship, his smiling glances, and his thoughts with them. Burning with great sorrow, they saw the entire universe as void. So they thought, now they will never see him again. Now it's finished. They thought that Krishna is going to die. That reminds us of Lord Chaitanya. You write from Vishnu Pastime. So Govinda, feeling your separation and considering a moment you might talk them. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain. I'm feeling all vacant in the world of absence. So these are the feelings of focus. Krishna is right there, but they are feeling separation. It's an example of prema by Sita. Krishna is there. They are not separated, but they are feeling separation. It's right in front of them. They are feeling intense separation from Krishna. How is this? So this is going on in Krishna's Lila, because they are anticipating the separation from Krishna is going to die. And we won't be with him anymore. Srila Prabhupada said, this is from a third of the Adi Lila. This is the aspiration of the devotee while he chants the Hare Krishna mantra. His eyes filled with tears and his voice falls. These are official signs and chanting for the name of God. So we can pray for God to experience this good signs. In ecstasy, we should feel the entire world vacant without the presence of Govinda. This is the sign of separation from Govinda. In material life, we are all separated from Govinda, attracted to material self-gratification. Therefore, when one comes to its sentence on the spirit of one, we should become so eager to meet Govinda. Without Govinda, the entire world becomes vacant. An example of this is to meet Govinda. This example. If you go to Jaipur early in the morning, everyone goes to Mangal Aarti, and you hear them running down the road saying, Govinda, Govinda. They are all eager to see Govinda at Mangal Aarti. So Prabhupada gives this example of saying Vrindavan, while the Buddhists go to the temples to see the deities. So even now we can experience that. We see the deity in the morning and we are separated during the day. If we are not a pujari, and then at night time again, we can go to see him. And when we are chanting the holy name, we can experience that separation from Krishna. But here they are experiencing separation while Krishna is right in front of them. But how in front of them is caught in the coils of Kaliya. Krishna Prataramapapyam Manupapishas Pravishtam Tulyavata Samankriyas Shamankyam Tastava Kata Yankyam Namasam Vishnam Nirpita Yasam Vitakam Vikam. Although the elder gopis were feeling just as much distress as she, and were pouring forth a flood of sorrowful tears, they had forcibly hold by Krishna's mother, whose consciousness was totally absorbed in her son. Standing like corpses, with their eyes fixed upon his face, the gopis each to turn recounting the pastime of the Darwin birds. So we have Mother Yasoda here and all the elderly gopis They are standing like corpses, and Mother Yasoda much more, and she cannot even speak. They are telling her the pastimes of Krishna, trying to console her, to keep her alive. No. Yeah. The last of today, there's so many commentaries, we will not be able to read them all. But yes, 22. Krishna Pranan Nirvishya Nanda Vimeksha Tam Patyase Datsa Bhagavan Rama Krishna Bhavati Rama Krishna Bhavati. Lord Balaram then saw that Nanda Maharaj and the other coward men who had dedicated their very lives to Krishna were beginning to enter the serpent's lake. As the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Balaram fully knew Lord Krishna's actual power, and therefore he restrained him. So here Balaram, what were the words that Balaram said? We will hear it from Srila Vishnu. Balaram physically helped Nanda and others to keep them from jumping into the rivers, while saying, so Gargacharya said that Gargacharya said that you will be saved from all the obstacles by his son. So that was the name-giving sermon of Krishna in the house of Gargacharya. Keeping this in mind, so he will save you. Keeping this in mind, don't you think Krishna will get released from this danger? But practically he will save you, son. Just be patient. If you all jump in the river and drown, who will maintain Krishna and raise Krishna when he comes back? Not only that, you will be neglecting Nara's Gargacharya Muni's orders to take care of the boy as well. This was Balaram's reasoning. The word Bhagavan indicates that he was capable in that instance. He's saying, Krishna will be all right, and you are going to die by going into this poisonous lake. And then who is going to take care of Krishna when he comes on? So Balaram appealed to their Vatsalya Bhava. That was the only way to convince them. Krishna will come out and you will be that who is going to take care of him. He will be all right. So we have been nectar of the ocean describes the ocean. So one is supposed to act in a way which is forbidden, or refrain from acting in the way that is proper. He becomes regretful and thinks oneself dishonest. At that time, there is a sense of disappointment. In this kind of disappointment, one becomes full of anxiety, shed tears, and changes body color, feels humility, and breathes heavily. So, guess who is feeling that Yasoda anonymous? When Krishna appeared to have drawn himself in the poisonous water of the Yamuna, Nanda Maharaj addressed Yasoda and said, my dear wife, Krishna is thrown deep into the waters. So there is no need to maintain our bodies which are full of sinful activities. Let us also enter poisonous water of the Yamuna and compensate for the sinful activity of our lives. This is an instance of severe shock in which the devotee becomes greatly disappointed. So these were some of the things that were going on between Nanda and Yasoda. We should all finish our life. Now Krishna is gone. So what's the use? But Balaram is saying, no, Krishna is going to come out. We have to take care of it. So Yasoda, when Krishna was chastising Kaliya in the poisonous water by the Yamuna, Mother Yasoda started to speak emotionally. Oh, see, the earth appears to be trembling. These appear to be an earth tremors, and in the sky, tears are flying here and there. My dear son has entered into the poisonous water of the unknown. What shall I do now? This is an instance of emotion resulting of an natural disturbance. So what else did Montreal suffer? She went insane. Instead of searching for curative herbs, she began to speak to the trees as if they are snake charmers. With folded hands, she began to bow down to the trees, asking them, what is the medicinal herb which can stop Krishna dying from the poisonous water? This is an instance of insanity caused by some great danger. So, there is another example. Now, when Balaram was in Vodka, he was talking in his sleep. Oh Krishna, your childhood adventures are manifesting simply according to your own will. Therefore, please immediately dispose of the stubborn pride of Kaliya servant. By saying this, Lord Baladev, the bearer of the flower, returned to his deep sleep. This is an instance of sleepiness in ecstatic love, even if they were dreaming. So Balaram fell asleep during a meeting of the Yadus, and during his sleep he spoke these words, and all the Yadus were laughing for a long time. From the Vedas cleared by Uttamita. I was reading before how Balaram was telling them, please, they are dying and I cannot save them. You must stop this right now. Balaram is telling Krishna, the Bhujan Prabhu, when he spoke about that, he quotes from Sanatana Goswami. When Krishna was embraced by Kaliya, he remained for 48 minutes in his embrace, 48 minutes, called one Muhurta. But when Krishna saw the residents of Vrindavan halted, then he rose up. Sanatana Goswami said, when you embrace someone out of love, you stay some time and then let it go. So he was in the embrace of Kaliya, and now he was going to let go. In Priyat Bhagavatamrita, O merciful Lord Krishna, please give up this game before the devotees die, otherwise, O Krishna, your friend of the cows, your gentle heart will come to grief. Krishna is the reservoir of all rasa, so he feels karuna rasa. Although he enjoys pretending to be lifeless, his devotees are driven to desperation by it. So Krishna is pretending to be in Kaliya's spoils and can't help himself, but his devotees are going to die. If he does not stop it, he will be the last one to lament when the devotees have died. Balaram is playing on Krishna's emotions because he knows Krishna cannot tolerate that his devotees suffer. The gopis cried and were lamenting in so many ways. Their limbs were in terrible pain and their hearts shattered by sorrow. They fainted and fainted as if they went to the sight of the Lord. They entered the lake. They went as if they went to Krishna, but in the real purpose was to drown themselves. What is the use without Krishna? So we'll hear about the gopis, what will happen tomorrow. That time is over. That, maybe 2 minutes. Any comments? Yes.
Oh, this is all very intense, but very, very difficult to grasp and understand. It's wonderful that the acharyas give us so many perspectives, deeper understanding what it's all about, because we could not penetrate into that deeper realm of divine love. It's beyond our experience. I mean, we know anxiety, confusion, lamentation are bad things in this world,
Yeah,
and they sort of they crush us. They take our life away in a sense. It's a negative state that you want to escape from.
Mm.
You don't want to stay in the lamentation. You don't want to stay in the confusion and anxiety. But on the spiritual level, it increases the love. That's the whole point of all these amazing emotions. The one great purpose is that we will deepen, intensify the love for Krishna.
yeah. Buddha, he understood that when he visited the Vrajavasis on the heart of Krishna, and he met Montreal and Nanda Maharaj. And Nanda Maharaj, his head was down, and Mother Yasoda had her eyes closed, and she was crying all the time. And Uddhav said there, I'm very happy to see you in that condition. That's interesting. Why would he say that? He knows the experience, the greatest ecstasy, the greatest joy of the spirit soul. He knew it, that therefore he expressed, but for us to understand that our heart is not really contaminated. It's difficult to grasp, but if we may remember after today that the spiritual emotions are different.
It was deep like an ocean. Very difficult to see out the full scope of it.
Yeah. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.